Bob behaved like that is he was spying on John.
So whatever night that was in December, it was shocking to me because I remember we wrapped up the evening. He walked out. We stood at the front door. We looked up at a star, and I said, "Now, if I wanted to go there," I said, and I had a craft, do I just head towards it? He said, "No, you go to the right." And so then he explained how that happened or how that worked. And I remember walking inside and standing in my den and just standing there for about 10 minutes, just totally awestruck at the information that I had been told that night. Because, of course, I believed it. The stuff that I knew, I thought it was true. But for somebody to say, yes, I saw it, it's true, the whole thing is true. I mean, that was really something. It took about, several months for it to sink in, for you to really believe that, yes, it's true. There are aliens. They are visiting us, and Bob did work on their craft.
So there's John, you can authenticate that after he started telling us things, it still wasn't a free-for-all where he'd just answer questions and, right, I mean, he'd still be closed-mouthed about things. I sensed a type of paranoia, I guess. He had people, doing random security checks at his house, but it was never until much later just a big party where he just entertained and answer every question he could about the craft, right?
Right. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, John.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
One thing about the phone taps is my phone was tapped too, and I had a guy from it was Centel then, and I had a couple of teenage daughters. By the way, Jackie and Allie and Moy and Jill are listening tonight. Hello to them. Allie and Jax had telephones and were always changing their numbers and always changing rooms and everything. And so we knew the Centel guy. So one day he's out here, and this is like in December, January when all this is going on. And he comes down to my den after, working on a project. He says, "John, your phone's tapped." And I said, "Yeah, well, I'm not surprised." He says, "Well, do you mind if I check and see where the tap is?" I said, "No, if it doesn't cost anything." "No, it doesn't." So he came back in about a half an hour, and he said, "I've been down Monroe and down Hollywood and down Bonanza, and the tap is further than that." And I said, "Well, don't worry about it." I said, "All our phones are tapped. We're into this flying saucer stuff." He says, "No, I just want to check." So the next morning, he shows up about 10 o'clock. He says, "John, I can't work on your phones anymore." I said, "Why not?" He said, "I traced your tap, and it's a mainframe, and there is no paperwork for it. And I took it to my boss, told her about it, and she said, if you don't like it, you can quit."
Wow.
And so that was a pretty interesting time.
We should also point out that there was another tap that became relevant to Bob's life. In fact, that's how he found out that his wife was having an affair, and we'll get into that story and then go back to the big confrontation with the security guys when we come back. I'm George Knapp. This is Coast to Coast. Stay with us. Welcome back to Coast. I'm George Knapp, joined by Gene Huff and John Lear, talking about the early days of the Area 51 story, the legend. Gene, you'd mentioned earlier, and we don't want to get too much into Bob's personal life, but it is relevant to the larger story that he learned that his wife had been having an affair, and I think it was with her flight instructor at the time. Tell us how he learned that.
Well, by the way, I wanted to interject here while John and I say Bob told us this and Bob took us out there and showed us that, and it's important for someone listening to understand the emotional uproar in Bob's life. I mean, here's a guy who is going to work on call. He's not even on a steady schedule yet. And when he's at work, he's done everything from read reports on, an alien civilization and seen alien bodies vivisectioned and weighed and ultimately actually, went inside and touched a flying disc that, as far as he could tell and as far as was told to him, was brought here from another star system, along with seeing another 8 beside the one that he touched and was in addition to having, being in the process of losing the love of his life, this guy was an emotional mess when this was going on. So not everything makes sense and probably sounds as perfect as it could or should have been, but, it was a bad time in Bob's life when this was going on. Now, how he You want to know how he found out she was having an affair?
Yeah, John and you were both talking about security measures. John mentioned that his phone, he believed, was tapped.
Well, ultimately, the guys at the OPM at the what were we going to call them?
The OFI, Office of Federal
OFI, who works for the OPM, Office of Personnel Management. The OFI had his phone tapped, and they had heard his wife having conversations with her boyfriend over the phone. They didn't know whether Bob knew or not, so they already knew that that if Bob lost his wife, he would be in emotional turmoil and be a security risk, so they were going to at least temporarily yank his clearance, but they couldn't do that until they knew that he knew that his wife was having an affair. They knew before he did. And so ultimately she confessed and told him she was having an affair. And if I remember correctly, she called her mother over the phone, I think, or maybe it was her father, in another state, and said, I'm messed up in the head. I'm in emotional turmoil. I've been having an affair. And I told Bob, and when the guys at the
on the other end
at the OFI heard, now they knew, Bob knew his wife was having an affair, and coincidentally, this all happened on the day or the day before Bob took us out for the last to witness the last disc test. So all of this came down when I guess we should go into how we got caught out in Central Nevada.
Yeah, let's tell that story.
Go ahead, John. You take over.
Okay, so it was Tracy and her sister and Bob and me and Gene. We get in the car. We start down the road and towards the lake bed. And the question was, how far do we go? And I kept saying, I was riding shotgun. I kept saying, well, let's stop here because, even a mile closer isn't going to help us, get any clearer shots. So they decided, well, let's go a little bit further. We went further and further, and all of a sudden, two sets of headlights come on in front of us, and just right at the same time. And so we thought, well, there could be a problem here. So I told Tracy's sister, I said, she was driving, I said, now, careful when you turn around because we don't want to get stuck in the dirt here. So we turn around and we go racing down this dirt road.
Now, our lights are off also, John. We don't want her to hit the brake lights because they'll see our brake lights. Go ahead.
So we go racing down this road, and it's obviously they're going to catch us. So we decide, and this is before we got to the highway, we decide, well, let's pull over. We'll jump out. I'll set up the telescope. And if they ask us what we're doing, we'll just say we're looking at the stars. And
now, John, just to interject here, prior to that, we stopped, and when we knew we were going to get caught, Bob got out of the car, took the gun, and just in case of rattlesnakes, and went running across the desert toward the highway so he wouldn't get caught with us. Now, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, but that was the last stop. So we jump out. I get the telescope out. I start setting it up. Bob runs out in the desert with a gun. And we're all standing around there, and then the two cars show up, skidding to a stop, and the security guys get out, and they've got the guns. And
they were big guys too.
Are they pointing guns at you?
No, they're on their shoulder. They're slung on their shoulder.
So before they got out, I ran up to the car and I to their car, and I put my hands on the top of the car, and I said, "You guys aren't dopers, are you? Yeah, we thought you were chasing us, And they said, "No, we're not dopers. We'd like to ask you a few questions." So they asked us what we're doing out there, and we say we're looking at the stars. And then they said, "Well, then why were you driving so fast away from us?" And of course, nobody had an answer for that. So they said, "Okay, well, we need to see some driver's licenses and Social Security numbers." So we gave my Social Security numbers, and I guess we were there.
Wait, John, is that true? Because I thought it was you. I didn't think we presented ID to them. We presented ID to the sheriff later.
That's right. But we told them our Social Security numbers then.
Right.
So we gave them our Social Security numbers. I guess it was about a half an hour. They came back and they said, "Okay, now look, we can't kick you off this land because it belongs to BLM, but we can give you an awful lot of problem if you stay here." And so they jump in their car, and we thought they drove away.
They said, "We'd like to have you up on the highway. If you're looking at stars, the stars will look just as good from up there."
So the trunk is open because I had got the telescope out, and it's bright, so we can't see too much except what's right around the car. So anyway, we wait for about 10-15 minutes, and here Bob comes out of the desert, and so he tells us this fantastic story. He says, "Boy, I had the 9mm pointed right at them. If they were going to come at me, I was going to blow them away."